All three candidates for mayor on the November ballot place a high priority, as you just enunciated, on public safety. All three candidates also promised to give Evansville police the training and resources they need to do the job. Your website adds this, and I quote, "We must adopt innovative approaches to policing and to address the root causes of crime, such as generational poverty, mental health issues, and substance abuse," end quote. Your website also calls for addressing, and I quote, "the nonviolent issues that currently require a police response." How would you elaborate on your public safety agenda, and how might it differ from what Natalie Rasher calls a neighborhood by neighborhood approach?
Well, so one of the things, I'm big on the community policing concept, and I think we're doing a fairly good job. Number one, being invested in the community and working in partnership with the residents of the community. But I think also probably a step further is, also, and this goes even into fire protection as well, and how we prepare for, you know, situations, that scenarios that might be faced with. Just recently we had a shooting at one of our local Walmarts, and so being able to respond to those, but how do we prepare for in advance for those type of things to occur? And I think more than any, community wraparound services too is also going to be important. In terms of addressing root causes, we just received a $30 million investment in our community, with that spirit in mind, is that we're going to have to kind of support children from the cradle to career, but there's also support wraparound services, and law enforcement plays a part in that, to ensure we develop young people, whether that's through youth employment programs, conflict mediation, but also our built environment. I think people need to see, number one, that the neighborhoods that they live in are well taken care of, and that we continue to revitalize our parks, and that there's some beautification in their neighborhoods, that there's activity, and adequate housing and not abandoned housing, removing dilapidated housing in our community, again, so that people feel a sense of hope, and they are not diverted to, the life in terms of crime activity. And I think it's a complex issue. We're also going to have to be advocates, continue in our state, in terms of gun, legislation that has been passed, and how do we again fight for, some better gun violence, in terms of access to guns. And so how do we change that? There should be no reason an 18-year-old has an ability to go in and purchase a gun. And so looking at those things at the local level, while it wouldn't be a force, I just saw recently that Indianapolis, established an ordinance, speaking out to say, hey, we've got to do everything we possibly can to protect our kids from, going into a life of crime. And it goes down to the very root, and protecting and supporting our schools, but then also community organizations that are investing in our children.